Hi, this is Sarah, the Stitchin Mommy, and it's Monday, April 11th, and I'm here for my weekly cross-stitching update. I'm 2 weeks late, 3 weeks late. I missed the last 2 Mondays. The first Monday was not planned. The second Monday this past week was planned, and I was going to probably tell you 2 weeks ago, and then life happened. So last week was spring break for my kids, so we had planned to go away, and so I knew I would need to miss 1 week of filming, but the week before that ended up being so busy that I just, wisdom dictated I'd not film and not worry about that. So there were lots of things, nothing bad. It was family get-togethers, school events and volunteering, and then on top of everything, getting ready for the trip, you know, on top of all of that, I agreed to alter, sorry, Smokey's eating the tripod. I said yes to altering 2 prom dresses, which I probably should have said no, knowing how busy I was going to be getting ready for everything, but I said yes. So it was fun to sew again, but that did take a lot of time. Away from stitching, away from filming, and all the things. So I'm back now, and I have, I guess, a lot to show, because it's been 3 weeks since you've seen me, but really when I was looking back over it, there's not a huge variety because I've kind of been honing in on a few things, and that'll be reflected in my plans. So far, I'm not really even feeling like a typical May where you start lots of things. I don't even know if I want to start anything at this point. So we'll see when it gets closer to May if I'll want to start one thing, possibly. But at this point, I want to focus in and get some stuff finished. So I'm kind of planning on a semi-monogamous May, but we'll see. I'll discuss, probably have plans and sprinkled in throughout everything as I show it, because there's so much has happened that I don't know in the last 3 weeks that I just feel like sometimes I'm going to need to weave in my thoughts about certain pieces in their future while I'm talking about it and showing it. So let's get started. So first I have a couple pieces of, well, I have one thing of Stitchy Kindness. I was contacted by Robin. She had some duplicate Mirabilias and offered them to me. One is Rose of Sharon, which I've always liked the look of this one, but I've never gotten it. This one might be out of print now, I'm not positive. She had 2, so she was considering, it's actually Robin's birthday today. Happy birthday! She was considering starting this today for her birthday, but then decided to start 3 other things, one of which is a Nora Corbett. So I will be pulling out my letter F fairy today in her honor. And there's another birthday today too, which I'll get to in a minute. And I'll work on my bonus stitching for her. So the other one she had a duplicate of is Siren in the Shipwreck. Yeah. And I don't have any plans to stitch this. I'm not a huge fan of mermaids. They're pretty, but I never had any call to stitch mermaids. So at some point in the future, I will be giving this away to one of you. But since because of all the business 2 weeks ago, and I was gone last week, I haven't mailed any of the giveaways from this past 11,000 subscriber giveaway. I have all the addresses. I'm just being a flake. So, I want to get that all settled and squared away before I start something new. So I had some other goodies from the Fat Quarter shop that were given to me as well since I've been gone, but I'll wait on all of that later because I'll probably be giving some of it away. Actually, maybe I'll show this one. I had some quilting patterns and things that I'll show later, but I got the Stitch Quarterly for spring, I guess, March. So if you haven't seen it yet, look away, but I think it's been enough time that everyone should have gotten this. So it came with this cute project bag, and this one was a tea theme, which I love tea, so that worked out really well. Came with lots of fun goodies. It had some scissors. Oh yeah, and they have a little cover on them, which is perfect for travel scissors, so that's great. A tea needle minder. Gotta use that. Gotta love tea. A needle. John James. Some vanilla ice cream scented hand cream for quilty hands. So this is most likely one that's safe to use with your stitching and sewing. And then the main thing was the pattern Tea Time, Thyme, which has the same teacup that's on the needle minder, along with a cute little bird and some flowers and the word spring. So that's pretty. I like this in general. I'm thinking I might alter this a little bit, but I haven't decided yet what I want to do. Oh yeah, that's what I was thinking. Instead of making it so like the circle situation, I was thinking of maybe altering these flowers and kind of playing with that a little bit. Because it's close to those, but I don't know. I might change it up just a little bit if and when I stitch this. And it came with 28 count mushroom lugana and the called for DMCs. So that was fun. So if you are in the Stitch Quarterly, I hope you enjoyed all of that, all of those goodies. Yeah, Smokey's here. Let's see. Oh, and then I bought at Hobby Lobby. We were there for something else, and I had yet to look at their cross stitch wall of fabrics since they've added a bunch of new things. So I went over there and I came home with this one, 46 count oat Bristol. So it's very fine, as you would expect by 46 count. You can see there's still some slubs and stuff because it is linen, but they have a white version of this and the oat version, and the white one looked hard to see, hard even for me. So I got the oat one. You can see because of the grainy texture and color, you can see the threads a little bit better in my opinion. So I picked this up. Don't have any plans to use it necessarily, but why not? So I grabbed that. And the rest of this is just what I've been working on. So enjoy the key, whatever she gets up to. So let's see, I guess we'll start where I left off. The end of March, I was focusing in on all the things that I had planned to do in the month of March that I hadn't yet finished. Because I did the March brackets the first half of the month. And then I had whip go goals and various things that I wanted to accomplish that didn't get fully finished during the bracket stitching extravaganza at the beginning of March. So I had plans to finish some whip go goals and work on a couple other projects just to make sure they got some love. So what I ended up doing, I will go through what I actually did starting in the day I last filmed. So I worked on my Mill Hill. I guess maybe, hold on, back up. Let's do some travel stitching, shall we? Because that's how I usually start this. So I have worked on my temperature pieces here and there. First one that I'm doing for this year is my Temperature Wander With Me, which is a kitty version. I also have a Walk With Me dog version of Paws in my Etsy shop. So whichever animal you like, something for everyone. And this one I've been working on every Sunday, so I'm caught up. Here is where I'm at now with, this is on 27 count Linda in Vintage Country Mocha, 1/1 full cross, and just been working my way around here with the different paws. This is kind of what spring looks like here sometimes, is where you kind of get patches of warm weather and then cool again. This is starting to warm up here. You can see this paw, I had one temperature left to finish it, so I didn't get to it yet, but you'll see it next week. It got up to 95 last week, so this will bring in some oranges. But yet today it'll be like a high in the 60s again, so it definitely fluctuates the temperatures. But we got our first little taste of summer last week, so that'll be reflected soon. And my other temperature piece I'm working on is my butterflies. So this one looks like the mock-up. These colors represent 2017, I think. But I am doing mine for the year 2002. So it's retroactive. So I don't necessarily need to stay caught up with the patches as the month goes by, but I do want to keep up with it. So I got to start on April. I got more than one length of thread, but I might still be on my second length of thread of the outline stitches. So just a little bit of start there on April. I didn't work on this all that much this past week while we were gone, but when we came home, I started working on it again. So that will come out here and there as I work, as I make time for it. So I do want, it is nice to get those outlines finished like the first half of the month. And we're not quite to the end of the half of the month. We're getting close though, so we'll see how far I do on that one, or how quickly I can work on that one. And then my other one that I've been working on since April just started, I pulled out my year-end stitches by the Victoria sampler, and I'm starting in on April. I really have not done a whole lot. I just did one length of thread in the border. So this will, my plan is to bring this back out during ballet school line pickup this week. So hopefully I'll get a nice start on this. I guess I can show you where it is, even though it's not that different than last time. So yay! One length of border. So yeah, I believe it was this. That's all I did. This is 28 count Dove Gray Monaco 2/2, and then one strand as needed in the specialty stitches as called for, with all of my own colors. And I discovered, someone tipped me off that the first, like through June or something, was on the website already. And when I went to look, all of them are ready now. So this was a free stitch along last year on their Facebook group, but now they are available on the website in the creative designs section. And you can find all 12 now if you're interested in them. So the link is below to the creative design section of the Victoria Sampler's website if you're interested. So that's fun. You don't have to wait to get them all now. They're all ready to go. I had another travel piece, but I'll show that when it comes up in my plans, or in my what I worked on when. And so I'll do the, oh, I forgot. I'll just have to put a picture up, I guess. I worked on my Buttons and Beads kit, Hummingbird, last week, or not last week, the week of the 21st. I worked on it on the 21st and the 25th and the 26th, and then I got it finished. So that week they had a Focus on a Finish event in the Magazine Monthly Challenge Facebook group, and I thought, well, this is really close to a finish. I want to get it done in March to potentially start the next one in March, because there was a Spring into Mill Hill hashtag that some ladies were doing, and I didn't actually get a new finish or a new start, but I did get a finish. So here is my Hummingbird. Yay! So you can see when I angle it certain ways, this color that's practically the same as the background is all finished. And I have the bee button, I have the stamens on the flowers, which have some beads in them. So yeah, this is all the called for, everything. So now I can switch it out with my Winged Monarch one over there, and they can share the time in the frame until I get more of these done. I'd like to have 12 of them finished at some point and switch them out every month, which could be fun. I am going to start another one today. I wasn't planning on starting it today, but I found out, or because I had lost track of life, you know, that Charlene over at this Witchy Stitchers here on Flosstube is her birthday today as well as Robin's, and she's going to work on a bee sampler. She's going to start a bee sampler for her birthday, and encouraging whoever wants to start something bee related. Well, my next Mill Hill, I'll put a picture up, is going to be the one called Honeybee, because that's the one that won when I put out the poll like a month ago, which one you thought I should start, either the Honeybee or the Spring Bluebird, or some cut flowers, I think, was maybe the 3 choices. Honeybee won by just a little bit over the Spring Bluebird. So I figured, well, I should start that today. I was thinking of starting it next week, but have to start it today. So today I'm doing birthday stitching. I'm going to be starting Honeybee and I'll be working on my letter L fairy. Letter F fairy. I'll be working on that for Robin's birthday for my evening stitching. So that should be fun. Now I just need to remember to post pictures or email pictures or whatever to let them know I was working on things to celebrate their birthday with them. So let's see if I can remember to do that. Smokey's off camera over here. Okay, so I worked on Friends of the Library a little bit more to get my 1,000 stitches for WhipGo. WhipGo is from Jessie Marie Does Stuff. And, oh, here it is. I didn't put it in here yet. And I have 2 WhipGo boards. She draws 2 numbers every month. So every month I have 2 numbers drawn on my full coverage board and 2 numbers drawn on my Fancy Lady board. So Friends of the Library was one of the draws for March. So I didn't get very many stitches done on this during the March brackets. So I wanted to finish out my 1,000 stitches, and I ended up getting 1,015. And then I stopped and put it away. And this is a restart from a needlepoint kit by Busilla, and I have recharted it in my software so I can do it as a cross stitch. This is now 18 count Antique White Aida, 2 over 1 full crosses. I made it to the opposite side of the top, so the whole top is done, which is really cool. Actually, I think the top 2 rows are finished. So I'm doing the typewriter method on this one pretty religiously, pretty strictly. And so the top 2 rows are completely finished, and then I started in on this orange right here, which this is like a bottle of some kind, because that was the next undone symbol in the 3rd row. So these are all finished now, but I need to fill this in as well before I can move down farther. So you can see there's a book here on its side, and these are the starts of the spines of some books. So pretty cool. So that's a little over 1,000 stitches because I restarted this from scratch this month of March. So this is 1,015 stitches. Visualize that. So that was nice. Got that checked off. My WhipGo goal for March. And then, let's see, that took like 2.5 days to finish. And then I wanted to work on, I wonder why I worked on sampler stitches then. I'll skip that one for now because I worked on that a lot later. I'll do Summer Queen was another one that I wanted to work on for finishing up for WhipGo, because I got only 1 day on this during the March brackets and I wanted 3. So I got 2 more days on this. Not a lot of time because it was already starting to get really busy. 1 length of thread on 1 day and 1 length of thread on the other day. So really not a whole lot. I don't think I did anything later, but my goal of finishing her face was accomplished. So that was my minimum. And I got it. So this is still the Mirabilia with the least amount of progress on it, but at least her face is done. So maybe one of these times I will actually have some time to work on this when it comes up to stitch on. So here is where she's at now. This is on 32 count Oyster Linen by MCG Textiles, 2 over 2. And yeah, got her face finished. Whee! And I went ahead and I really wanted to backstitch her face, but there was more thread and I could keep going on her neck when her neck is done. So I just pulled it over here and it's just parked essentially. And then when I come back to this, I'll do the rest of her neck and then pick this back up and finish the backstitching because I didn't want to cut it off. There's just a little bit more down here to do. It seemed a waste to cut it off. So that's what I chose to do. I don't usually do stuff like that, but it made sense this time. So that was that. That was a little underwhelming 3 days, but that's kind of the way it goes sometimes when life takes over stitching. I did get 3 days on her though, and so that's goal met for WhipGo. And I finished her face, which was what I really wanted to accomplish this time. Okay, anything else? Oh yeah, that Friday, the 25th, the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery came out with the first clue of their new year-long stitch-along, the Under the Sea Club. So the rest of this is a mystery. We don't know what it's going to be yet, although they have had some sneak peeks here and there. This is clue 1, and that's what was released on the 25th. And so I started it that day with Colette, the Highway Stitcher, and Shelly, Key X Stitch on Instagram, and It's Only Stitching here on Flosstube. And we got started right away, like literally 10 o'clock. We started our call when the clue was released. So thankfully it was released like a half hour early, so we had time to kind of work out some technical difficulties, and we were all able to start it. So that was fun. And I was planning originally to only work on this when I either called them or called my sister, and I figured I'd have the whole month to kind of work on it here and there, and I'd eventually finish it before the next clue comes out on April 25th. Well, I kept seeing people finish it really quickly on social media, and Shelly finished it in like a day. So I'm like, really? This thing is too cute to just let linger. So I finished it too. So it's bluer than it shows up in any pictures, but this is 25 count, medium blue, even weave. I'm doing it 1/1 full cross. And I'm also doing a color conversion. Almost every color is changed to just fancy floss I had in my stash. There were a couple colors I had to change once I started using them. They didn't work. They didn't combine well with the other colors like I thought they would, so I had to go back to the drawing board and kind of pick some new ones. But I think I'm happy with these ones, at least for now. And I went ahead and I'm using Petite Silk Lame braid for my sparkle thread. They call for, I think, Petite Treasure braid or Kryneck or something for in a white, and I didn't have any, but I had Silk Lame braid. I'll show you. And it's white, and it has like an iridescent sparkle to it. You can kind of see that. And I thought, well, that'll work fine for pearls or whatnot. But then when I got this clue, I thought, oh, these bubbles can be in the sparkle too. And they were charted just for white, but I went ahead and put them in there. They are, the Silk Lame braid is a little fatter than DMC, so they do puff up a little bit, but it kind of gives it a 3D effect. So I'm okay with that. So there we go. That was fun. So now I can eagerly await part 2 on the 25th. And I have this all kitted up with fancy flosses in my pumpkin bag for the Frosted Pumpkin Stitchery that I got from Quilt and X Stitch. She's on Instagram. So yeah, that's fun. I'm really happy with that. Let's see, next week, the end of March, beginning of April, Knitting Woman. I could show you that one. I worked on that off and on. I worked on it 4 days that week, at the end of March, beginning of April, and then while I was on vacation, I didn't work on it at all, but then, let's see. Yeah, I pulled it out one more day on this recent Saturday. So it has seen 5 days since you saw it last. Not as much as it should, which is part of my plans for May. So here's Knitting Woman, and I would like to finish this before November this year. So this needs to see more love than it has been getting, and there's been just too much going on to have 2 projects a day sometimes. So when I originally want to get 100 stitches on this and then move on to my main project for the day, I have not done it because I figured if I get this out, work on it for 100 stitches, all my time will be gone and I won't get to the project that I have planned for today. So this has kind of taken a back seat a little bit too often, and so I'm quite a bit behind my original goal of where I wanted to be. So in May, I'm thinking I will try to work on this as much as possible. So I still have 2 Whip Go full coverage goals that I'll want to do and 2 fancy lady whip go goals that I'll want to do. Plus, let's see, what else do I have? Oh, and I want to work on my Amazing Grace gift stitching every Sunday. I changed that to be every Sunday now just to make sure I don't run out of time to work on that one also. And then I want to keep up on Sampler of Stitches as well, many Fridays and Saturdays. So all of that to say, what am I working on now? Knitting Woman. I want to work on Knitting Woman every day in May that I'm not working on one of those other goals. So I have down right now 10 days on Knitting Woman where she'll get the whole day. Bonus stitching, regular stitching, everything. And it's 4 Thursdays, and then a Friday, Saturday together, and a Monday, Tuesday together at the end of the month. This is kind of how I have it. And she may end up getting, oh no, I have her there too. Yeah, because I should be caught up on Sampler Stitches. So it should be 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That is 10 days. Okay. So if for some reason I get Sampler of Stitches extra caught up, or I finish Amazing Grace early or something, I can do more on Knitting Woman. But for now, I was planning, or if I finish a whip go goal of the full coverage pieces for early, I could do an extra day on Knitting Woman. But for now, the plan is whip go goals 1 through 4 will be these Monday through Wednesday, all those weeks. Sunday stitch will always be Amazing Grace. Every other week will be Sampler of Stitches. These opposite weeks will be Knitting Woman. All Thursdays Knitting Woman, and then the last couple days in the month will also be Knitting Woman. So I kind of feel like that will help me just kind of spur this on, push it to a finish a little quicker. So let's show it, shall we? So this has only had 5 days since you saw it last, but here is where it's at now. I don't remember exactly where I've worked on it all the time, except for where I was recently on Saturday. So, and even then's a little sketchy. So just hold it up here for a little bit and you can kind of compare. But worked a little bit in the kitty's face over here, and you know, the sleeve. I remember doing some sleeve on Saturday. There's some of this red might have been done since you saw it last. It's getting really full here with scattered stitches, so it'll be nice to get that filled in more. But when I remember where I started this goal, I think I was still up here, and all of this is now completely finished, which is pretty cool. I've gotten quite a bit completely finished since I started working on it this year. So because my new starting, you know, empty stitches, empty symbols are now way down here, and I remember them being up here in her arms and stuff. So yeah, making progress for sure. So this I'll continue to bring it out as bonus stitching this week and throughout the rest of April as I can. But then in May, I'm gonna, you know, really buckle down and give it a good, at least 10 days of full, like all my stitching time that day will go towards this. So we'll see how much I can do to push this towards a finish in May. So that's kind of my idea. If for some reason I just can't avoid a start in May, seeing people's plans to start things, my plans might change a little bit, but I really like this idea because I'm really kind of feeling like focusing on some of these things that are outstanding and getting them done so that I can free up my plate to just play. So yeah, that's kind of my idea there. End of the Ball is another one that I worked on for Whip Go in March to make sure that got finished. So I did a little bit more on this because I didn't get a full 1,000 stitches on it during the March brackets. So this is this one. It's another Golden Kite. I'm doing this one 2/1 half stitches on 24 count Congress cloth. I believe the color Ivory. And here is where this one is. I have a matching needle minder, which is fun. So yeah, so this one ended up getting a total of 1,280 stitches, including what I worked on during the March bracket, and then 2.5 more days here in the end of March. So yeah, I was trying to be good. I had popped over here to work in his face last time, but then I was trying to be good and going along here to do more typewriter method of choosing symbols. And lo and behold, some of these colors were in him too. It worked out great. So now you can definitely see his face a little better because you have his features and then his hair. This is back of her head maybe. So you can't really tell what's going on there with her head, but you can see him pretty well. So that's pretty fun. Yeah. So that worked out nicely. And Whip Go Goal on this one is complete. And I think, yeah, and so, yeah, so all my March Whip Go goals got finished. And then I worked a lot on Sampler of Stitches, it looks like. So I'll transition to that one now. I worked on it like the March 30th, 31st, April 1st, April 2nd. I also worked on it on the 8th and the 9th and the 10th. So I had a lot. The 10th was only for a few minutes to kind of finish a section. So I worked on this quite a bit and I think it shows. So here is the full thing. This is Sampler of Stitches by The Drawn Thread. And it comes in 9 different patterns. So you have to buy all 9 patterns. You can find them on their website, The Drawn Thread's website, or you can contact your LNS. They might be able to order them for you. I was gifted this pack, all the patterns and the called for threads. Very generous lady. And so I'm really enjoying this. It's been fun. I decided to kind of host a stitch along to work on this all year and get it done by doing 1 letter every 2 weeks. And I got behind right away. So I'm really happy to finally get caught up. I worked on the DEF portion, got that finished. And then this weekend, I even finished the G portion. So H and I are still left to go. Technically, if I were to be 100% caught up, I should have finished H, this strip of H this weekend. I did G this weekend, so I'm just a little bit behind. So okay, I forgot I was doing something else next weekend. I am planning, like I have this in there for extra weekends just to get caught up, but I'm hoping I will get caught up sooner than later, and then I can go back to working on this every other Friday, Saturday combo and stay caught up that way. So that's my plan. And this is on the called for linen that was all kitted up. And this is 30 count custard cream. And here it is. Yay! I got to the full width of the design now because it'll be 3 by 3, all the 9 patterns. So I'll come in a little closer. I don't know if I had the D section all the way finished. I don't think I did. This one right here is bugging me because it's meant to be a pulled thread stitch. So they like pull it tight. Now it's warping my fabric. Me no likey. Because they wanted you to pull it a certain tightness so that you could see the holes and whatnot, but then you warp the fabric. So I don't like that one. But it's fun to try all the different stitches. And then I came over here and did the G this weekend. And these crazy God's eyes, this first one I redid like 7 times because I just wasn't figuring it out. And then eventually there was some tip. I finally figured out if I go underneath, there's an X, a T, a plus sign actually, and then you kind of weave it around each of the plus signs without going through the fabric again. And I realized once I weave it under a leg, put the needle up over the tail, and then I was able to get it to where it actually started to make a shape around the plus sign. because until then it was just ending up continuing to look like a plus sign, and I was like, what am I doing wrong? So finally figured out how to do it. They're still kind of wonky, but I'm okay with it. They look fairly grape-ish. So next time I work on this, I will do H, and H is a little bit smaller. It's not as small as the E. As you can see here, the G is not quite, it's, okay, let's try to, A, B, C were evenly spaced. D was like extra big, E was really little, and F was the same as the A, B, and C ones were. Over here, G is not quite as long as D, so H, I believe, is like, makes up that, and I think I is the same, again, as the F and the C. So, if for some reason I can finish the H early on its next, I have 2 days on it in 2 weekends from now. If I can finish the H before the end of those 2 days, I'll just keep going on the I, because I want to make sure I want to get caught up as soon as possible. But that's been fun. Okay, let's see. And then I worked on Amazing Grace for 2 Saturdays because or not Saturdays, Sundays, 2 Sundays. Because I realized this wasn't getting all that much time. I was planning to give it a couple extra days in March, and I didn't because I wanted to work on Sampler of Stitches. So then I thought, well, it's a hymn. Let's work on it every Sunday. And it's working so far. I'm not making huge amounts of progress because last Sunday was the first day we went on our spring break vacation. So I worked on it just for an hour. And then this Sunday was busy and I worked on it only for an hour again. But I'm hoping there will be some Sundays where I'll have a little bit more than an hour. I can make some headway. So I would like to finish this before like maybe early June. And I recharted this from a My Big Toe Designs. These motifs are from them, but I redid the letters to be backstitch font. So it's a lot smaller. There's not as many extra motifs. There's no border, because I realized if I did the entire thing by My Big Toe, I wouldn't get it done in time. And I am doing my own color conversion. It's similar to the called for. Stepping Stone by Weeks Dye Works, Royalty by Color and Cotton, and Garden Gate by the Victorian Motto. So those are my colors. Loving that. They look really good together. And I'm doing this on 28 count ivory Jobelin, 1/1, full crosses. And here's where I finally cut it down because I was taking it with me on vacation and I didn't want the whole big thing sticking out. I had a bigger piece of fabric on this, used for this, because it was cut for the full design, which was enormous. So I finally cut it down, and this is now the full width of the design, because this, the end of this verse I think is as far as it's going to go that way. And so this third verse is finished, which is how far I wanted to get ideally by the end of March, was to finish the third verse and half of this motif. So that's not done yet. And by the end of April, I would like to have this whole motif done, which is the cross one, and then there's the next verse. So wish me luck. I have, next weekend I'm planning a 3-day full coverage new start, so I won't work on it next weekend, but so I really only have 1 more day in April to work on this, but I do have it planned for every Sunday in May, so I'm hoping that'll help. And I might pull it out other times as the spirit moves, because I do want to get this done. This is one of those that I really want to get off my plate and gifted, so I don't feel pressure to get it done. And I can go back to kind of pulling out whatever I want from my random projects that aren't on my Whip Go goal, because everything on my Whip Go board I would know I'll get to in the year, so I'm not worried about it. But then everything else that's not on those boards, I feel like is getting forgotten because I'm focusing on all this other stuff. But that's okay. All right. This past week, we're already up to that now. while we were on vacation, I wanted to pick things that were small enough to bring along and not have to take up a lot of room. And I also thought it'd be fun to bring things that had self-contained little kit of flosses, so I wouldn't have to pull DMCs and from my main stash. I could just grab it and go. So I went ahead and picked a couple pieces that I knew I needed to work on anyways that have a fancy floss color conversion, because those I tend to keep with the pattern. So I started out with letter F fairy, and I worked on this for 1 day. So this will get 2 days this month, which is kind of fun because I'm going to work on it again today for Robin's birthday. And this has a fancy floss conversion, so that's all with the pattern right here. I like to do this when I kit something up with fancy floss, which is the hand-dyed brands, just to make sure I get the whole project finished with the floss. I don't take it somewhere else, use it on something else, run out of it, and then I forget where it's at or whatever. So I keep it all together. So this is easy to just bring along and say, oh, here, I'll take this one. I find my roll of fabric and we're off to the races. So I worked on this for technically 2 nights, or 1 night and part of another night, but overall it was about an hour because the first night was pretty short stitching time. The nights on vacation, I had a half hour the first night, an hour the second night, and an hour and a half the third night. Progressively better stitching time as this, maybe it's progressively more tired from what we were doing. We tend to have very active vacations. So this is where I got to on letter F fairy. So this is on 32 count water lily linen, 2/2, full crosses, and this is the called for fabric. I finished her wing, and then I used the back stitching to get up here to start on the fronds above her that are shading her, and there's a bunch of beads in here too, but I'll do that in a little bit. So I'll work on these leaves today to get those more filled in, so that'll be fun. And then once the leaves are done, I can work now down more into the F, or do some beading and then go into the F. But today I'll probably just be cross stitching because those leaves are pretty large. They're coated with beads along the edge, but there is a good amount of stitching in there, so I'll probably just be doing some cross stitching today. And that's good. I feel like just something simple and easy, so I can do that. So today I'll be working on my, starting my Honeybee Mill Hill kit for Charlene's birthday, and I'll be working on letter F fairy for Robin's birthday. So that'll be fun. And then one of my WhipGo draws for April was the Christmas elf fairy. And then I'm like, oh, that's perfect. I can take that with me on vacation. It's small, and I kitted it up with the fancy floss conversion, so it's all already in here with the pattern. Perfect for a vacation. So I brought this along and got my 3 days for my WhipGo goal completed while I was on vacation. So that was perfect. I got a total of 3 hours over the course of the time. So here it is. Ooh, you can see the sparkle. This is 32 count opalescent. I forget what this is called. Raw silver Belfast, I believe is what it's called. And 2/2 full cross. So I started out, I wanted to work from the top down. I'm a sucker for sticking to the plan. So it was this dark shade of, it's actually like a dark gray, was here. And so I also just finished my thread. So I came up here and went around here. There's a little bit more down here, but I just finished the thread and went on back up to the top. There's a lighter gray, finished a little bit in the hat, and then started using up my thread. That color will be kind of around the outside. So that's as far as my thread went. And then I went up here and actually uses Whisper in the rest of the hat puff area. So that's all Whisper, and that's as much as, I think I needed like 3 lengths of Whisper because I use such short lengths. Got that finished, and then the last, oh, I worked on it another half hour. So I worked on it 3.5 hours because I wanted to finish her face. So I worked on her hair then, and then after we were home, yeah, after we were home actually, I did her hair and then her face and got her face done. So yay! These little holes will be beads. There's a lot of beads. There's only like 2 colors, but they're everywhere. So that's fun. I like how that's looking. And this is one that is only sold as a kit, but I was gifted the pattern by Terry Lee Crafts because she finished it and passed the stash. And so I have just the pattern, which is why I chose my own fabric and threads. So I think the black and dark gray I have the called for, but everything else I just kind of picked what I had. So that's similar to what was called for. And I got my Whip Go Goal finished on that for April already. So woohoo! I kind of planned to do it where I do a different Whip Go Goal every week. And that's kind of what I had planned in May also, to spread it out and make sure they all get the, plan for 3 days on each one of them. And then the full coverage ones, my goal is 1,000 stitches. So if I happen to get it done in 2, I can move on to something else, but I'm giving everything, actually, I think I lied on Flower Garden, which is one of my full coverage pieces in Whip Go. I'm going to work on it only for 2 days at the end of the month because it's a half stitch piece. I'm really hoping I can get it done in 2 days. I don't really have time to do more on it. So we'll see. Let's see, what else did I work on? Did a little bit of Under the Sea Club on the way home from San Diego. We were in San Diego, went to the zoo and SeaWorld and all, and the beach and stuff like that. So only stitching was in the evenings or in the car on the way home and there on the travel days. So what day? Yeah, so on the way home from San Diego, I finished my Under the Sea Clue, which was really fun. Once I was home, I did more on the Sampler of Stitches and Amazing Grace, and I guess that's where I am now. So going into plans this week, you already know what I'm working on today. Then I'm going to do 3 days on Whip Go Full Coverage #1, which is an old favorite waterfall in Yosemite. This is one I was focusing on a lot last year and kind of got burnt out on it because it's so similarly colored there at the top that it was getting a little bit of a dread to work on it, but I still want to get this done. And I think once I get past some of this light colored bit, it might be a little more fun. So I'm giving it 3 days, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday of this week in order to get 1,000 stitches. And that's all I'm committing myself to this year, and I'm okay with that. So I think having that short-term goal will be fine. I won't be annoyed. And if I'm working away on it and I finish early, then that's bonus. So we'll see whether or not I want to do more than 1,000 stitches or not. Or if I want to stop early and do more on Sampler of Stitches or Flower Garden. So we'll see. Okay, and then I have plans to start another full coverage piece. Because I had plans for this. And I'm looking forward to it. So I'm, in general, not really feeling like starts because I feel like I've started a lot of things the last few months. But this is one I have had planned since last year, and I'm going to go for it. So Saturday, the 16th, is National Librarian Day. So I figured this weekend was a good weekend to do a 3-day new start on Minnie the Library Max Colors by Heaven and Earth Designs. This is by August Tomuk? I don't know. It's one of their older paintings, not modern art. So it's a sweet picture of a library and a girl in a really pretty dress. So I'm sold. So I'll probably just start at the top and see a lot of books and boring stuff at the beginning, but that's okay. I am going to do this on 28 count Rose Monaco, 2/1 half stitches. So, and we'll see how far I get in 3 days. I'm planning to, I like to get 1,000 stitches on all my full coverages this year. And so if they're on my Whip Go board, that's already their goal. But so far, anything I've been starting, I want to also get that to 1,000 stitches, and it's been working really well to give a new start 3 days, and it's worked well for spring montage and winter montage. I did that 3-day new start on those, and it worked well. So here's hoping it'll work well again. My other full coverage piece that was called in April is the flower garden. So I'll work on this at the end of the month. It'll get a couple days. And then my other fancy lady besides the Christmas Elf Fairy was Nantucket Rose by Lavender and Lace. So I didn't bring that to show you, but most of you know what that one's looking like because it's been around forever. So I will work on that one next week. And then I also have plans to work on my anniversary piece for 3 days. I was supposed to work on it for 4 days in April because April's the 4th month, and I was kind of 1 day in January, 2 days in February, 3, you know, that kind of thing. But I ended up working on it 4 days in March because it went so far in the bracket. But so, and it was running out of space in April. So I went ahead and just did 3 days of it in April since it got an extra day in March. So we'll see how far I can get on that one. That won't be till next week and the following week. I'll work on it a little bit. So I think that's everything. All caught up. So yeah, working on fewer things, trying to get some goals finished, but I think it's okay to do that once in a while. I go crazy sometimes with changing the projects every day and doing all sorts of silly stuff. So every once in a while, it's okay to kind of rein it in and work on just a few things and try to get some goals finished. So that's kind of my mentality at the moment, and it's working for me, so let's go with it. So I hope you have a wonderful week. Enjoy whatever you're working on, and happy stitching. Bye. And here's Kitty. She's over here sleeping. Oh yeah. Hey, Smokey. Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Having a nice nap? All right. See you later. Take care.